Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. I've been collecting mid-century lighting for over a decade, and a problem that I run into again and again is the fiberglass shades are either missing or they need to be repaired. So I have searched long and hard to find the perfect replacement for a fiberglass shade, and I have finally found it. So stay tuned. Today I'm going to show you how to recreate a fiberglass shade using this magic material. So you may be asking yourself, what is this magic material? Well, let me tell you, it is a laminated shoji screen paper. And luckily for you, it is available in tons of different colors and patterns from the supplier Eshoji.com. I would like to take a minute to thank Eshoji.com for sponsoring this video. So if you click the link below, you can go to their website and order samples so you can see ahead of time what colors or patterns might best fit your needs. I love this laminated shoji screen paper because it is not only tear resistant, but it's also stain resistant. Originally made for shoji screens, I think this is the perfect material to also use for creating lampshades. Thanks again to eshoji.com for sponsoring this video. So to get started on making your shade, you're going to need just a few simple tools, and I've listed all of that below. You're going to need a hole punch, a sharp razor blade, a good pair of scissors, a pencil, and some twine of your choosing. Also, when we're fastening the shade, it's much easier to use a double-sided tape, which is also available on Eshoji's website, and I've linked that below. So today in our tutorial, I wanted to show you that you really can use this shoji screen paper to recreate any sort of a shape, not just a typical mid-century drum shade. This is a very traditional bell-shaped pleated shade, and it will work just the same using our laminated shoji screen paper. The biggest thing is if you have a shade and you have the original material to use as a template, it's going to save you a ton of time. But to get that original material off of the frame, we need to use our sharp razor blade to score along the edge and then separate, in this case, the styrene, which is covered in fabric, the styrene from the frame. So the best way to do that is to access it from the inside of the shade. You can see there is a binding tape that has been wrapped around the metal. So to get it off, we're just going to take our razor blade and score along the edge. Once we've separated the top, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Many times when you find a vintage fiberglass shade, it will be attached using a plastic lacing, or sometimes they used leather or suede that is wrapped around the frame and through holes in the shade. That's how we're going to actually recreate it using our shoji screen material. So if you're going to separate that from the frame, just go ahead and cut that lacing, and the process is very similar to what I'm doing here with this styrene shade. One of the cool things about having access to this material is you really can take any boring old shade from the thrift store and create it into something wonderful for one of your vintage lamps. The shoji screen material, because it looks so much like fiberglass, people don't even realize that it's not an original mid-century shade. I've made dozens of these over the years, and I always get the same reaction. People think it's actually fiberglass. Not only is it easier to work with than fiberglass, but I haven't even been able to find actual fiberglass in under a 8-foot by 30-foot roll. The shoji screen paper, on the other hand, comes in a roll that is 36 by 72. So it makes it really convenient to make multiple shades out of just one roll, and it's also much more affordable. Once we have our rings taken out, we're going to separate the seam on the original shade. So most of the time the styrene is overlapped by about 1/2 inch, as you can see here. We're just going to go ahead and slide a razor blade along the edge and try and separate those two pieces. Sometimes they'll peel right apart. And there you have it. Once it's separated, you can see here's our nice little fan shape. This is going to work perfectly as a pattern to trace our new shade. Once we've selected the material that we want to use, we're going to lay our original styrene out or our fiberglass out onto the paper, and we're going to use it as a template. Now, don't forget, if you did go ahead and score along the line where it separates, you're going to want to add 1/2 inch onto your template so you'll have room to overlap those pieces and attach them together. I like to trace my pattern using a pencil because then you can come back and erase any of the marks. Once I have my pattern traced, I'm going to take my sharp scissors and just cut it out. Now that I've got my shoji screen paper cut out, I'm going to show you one of my favorite methods for attaching it to the frame. Although there are many different ways to do this, traditionally fiberglass shades in the 50s and 60s were tied onto the frame. They did this by punching holes into the paper and wrapping it with a twine of your choice. One of my favorites to use is a simple suede lace. This has a nice little stretch to it, but it also comes in many different colors and it has some nice texture as well. So today I'm going to do the wrapping using this gray colored suede, and I'm going to show you how I punch the holes along the edge using a simple 1/8 inch hole punch. If you have the original fiberglass shade that was attached to the frame and it already has the holes in it, you can take that suede lacing out and use it to trace the location of the holes. Then we're just going to take our hole punch and go along the edge, making holes about every 1/2 inch. After you have all the holes punched, it's time to attach your shade material to your frame. Before attaching it, I like to use my double-sided tape to take the seam overlap that we allotted for when we traced our pattern and tape the thing together. The laminated shoji screen paper has a really nice heavy weight to it, so it makes it quite easy to bend and to work with without accidentally creasing it. I applied the double-sided tape to the overlap, and I'm just going to gently press it in place. Once the ends of the shades are attached, it's time to reattach it to the frame. It sometimes helps to use just a little piece of Scotch tape to hold the shoji screen paper in place while you're doing the lacing. Once we have the frame lightly in place, we're going to take the lacing of our choice and we're going to cut ourselves a nice long length. Now, because we're wrapping it around the frame, we're going to go through 2 to 3 times as much material as it would take to simply go around the frame once. So you want to make sure you give yourself enough length to work with. So I'm just going to triple the circumference of the ring. You also want to leave yourself enough at the end so you can tie it off when you get the other end around the circle. So I'm just going to make a light little loop to hold it in place. And then I'm going to start my weaving. This part of the process is the most time intensive, and it does take a little bit of patience. As I'm looping my suede around, I make sure that it's not twisted and that everything looks nice and equal as far as the spacing is concerned. While I'm doing this, I make sure that my ring stays tucked right flush against the end of my shoji screen paper. Once you get to the end of your lacing, you're going to want to untie the starting end, and you're simply going to tie these together in a nice tight knot. And there you have it. So if you're looking for a fiberglass replacement that comes in multiple colors and patterns, try laminated shoji screen paper from Eshoji.com. All of the products that I used in today's video are linked below. Thanks for watching, and be sure to like and subscribe for more DIY content. Until next time, stay curious and stay creative.